Hi everyone, and welcome back to the new lecture where we continue talking about how to communicate with AI systems and what to include in your prompt. So far, we've covered several components that can be included in a prompt: a task or what you would like to achieve, followed by specific details or context and rules necessary to perform the task or answer a question. Next is role context, a specific role that the AI will be playing when performing a task. Optionally, you can also introduce the intended audience for your task. Lastly, we mentioned that you can share additional content by attaching documents to your conversation or by including the text as input data directly in the chat. And regarding the order of components in your prompt, the ordering matters for some elements, but not for others. For instance, it is recommended to include the role context earlier in the prompt, while input data may not be necessary depending on the task, and its ordering is also flexible. But in general, if you stick to the ordering shown in the course presentation slides, it will be a great start to an effective prompt. Okay, and let's introduce another prompting element: examples. Examples, also known as shots, act as demonstrations that guide the generative AI model on what kind of output you are looking for, including the answer format and what you want to avoid. Perhaps you have heard of terms like one-shot or few-shot prompting. These refer to using one or several examples in your prompt description. For chat prompting, examples typically demonstrate tone, for instance, formal versus informal, serious versus casual, empathetic versus matter-of-fact, and style, such as sentence length, format patterns, bullet points versus paragraphs, technical detail level, basic versus advanced terminology, and so on. Let's go over some concrete examples. First, I will ask Gemini for a simple email without giving any example. So here is my prompt. For this demo, I'm going to be using FAST model. Let's run it. This email is fine, but it is also pretty generic. Now let's make it much more specific by showing an example of the tone and structure that we want. So here is my other prompt. So I have the same instruction at the beginning, and then I provided an example as a style reference that is matching the tone, sentence length, and the structure that I would like Gemini to use. Let's run this second version. Now, if we compare that new response with the initial version, we see that it feels more human, the sentences are shorter, and the structure is closer to what we showed in the example. And while we are here on the email example, let me quickly show you what Gemini can do with that email next. It turned out that you don't need to copy and paste the email into your inbox. If you look right below the response, you will see more icon. Let's click on it. And here you will see draft in Gmail option. If you click it, Gemini will open a new window and place this exact text into a real Gmail draft, which you can further edit and eventually send it to your recipient. So let's try to do this. Gemini is drafting an email. Let's take a look. I'll click on Open Gmail. We see that it correctly picked up on the email subject. This is the exact text that we saw in the chat. Let's try something a bit more advanced. So far, we have used examples to fix the tone and style of a response. But you can also use examples to set a mental frame. A mental frame does not just change the words Gemini uses, it changes the logic it uses to solve your problem. So instead of writing a long list of rules like be practical or don't be too academic, you can simply show Gemini a shot or example of the perspective you wanted to take. So let's go step by step. First of all, I'll open a new chat. And here I would like to switch to a Pro model. And just a heads up, if you are on a free plan, you will still have access to the Pro model. You see, I'm using my free account and I still can select this model, but your usage limits may be lower than on paid plans. So I'm coming back to my account that I use for this demo. And first, let's see how Gemini handles requests with no framing at all. I'll ask about a popular topic, personal branding. I want to learn about personal branding. How should I start? Let's hit enter. If we are interested, we can look at Gemini's thinking process. You see, those are the steps that it took to give us this recommendation. Everything is correct, but it's very theoretical. It feels like a long to-do list before you have even started. Now let's use a one-shot example to shift the logic to a hands-on mental frame. I want Gemini to act like a coach who values immediate small wins over big theories. So here is my new prompt. Apart from my original instruction, I also included an example of a hands-on logic. Let's press enter and see what Gemini would suggest here. See that? Because I labeled the logic as hands-on and showed Gemini the Hello World example, it isn't giving me a reading list anymore. It literally tells me the hands-on recommendations, things that I can do right now. So now Gemini is mirroring the way of thinking, not just the tone and style like in our first example. All right, and let's take one more quick example. This is especially useful when you are doing research. Let's say you want Gemini not only to answer the question, but also to show where the information comes from. You can include an example that demonstrates the format you want. For instance, you can write a full prompt like this. And what's important, I also provided rules for Gemini for the cases it cannot find a reliable source for a claim. Let's run it. This kind of example makes the output much more structured and easier to trust because you are showing the exact format you want for evidence. All right, apart from one or few shot prompting, there is another technique using interactive examples. Interactive examples differ from regular examples in that they create a dynamic, back and forth learning experience where each example builds upon a previous understanding or feedback. While regular examples are static demonstrations, interactive examples involve active participation and iteration. Here is how interactive examples work. You provide an initial version example. The AI gives specific feedback and suggestions. You create an improved version based on that feedback. The AI analyzes the improvements and suggests further refinements. You iterate again if needed. The key is that each iteration builds on the feedback from the previous version, creating a collaborative improvement process. Okay, great, and that's it for this video. Let's quickly cover what we've learned here. And I'll see you in the next video where we will cover yet another prompting technique.